Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a new video about how I got my herniated disc when I was 21 years old, very close to my 22nd birthday, and I am now 24. So yeah, let's get into it. I would like to start with the fact that I've had chronic back issues the entirety of my life. I've got diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 5 years old. I've been monitored, followed with a physiotherapist. And yeah, so it was supposed to happen. That's basically what I'm saying. So 2 months prior, I started having really bad pain in my lower back. And at first I thought it was posture, and I told my mom about it, and she was like, that's basically posture. I've been complaining about it for like a majority of my life. So she was basically like, I think that's just your posture, you just have to sit straight. The thing is, I couldn't sit. Like, if I would sit on a chair, I would be really uncomfortable. I would have to generally move position to be able to sit comfortably, and even then it was very uncomfortable. So there were signs that it was going to happen. So if you're watching this video thinking that you might have a herniated disc, or that you might have one in the future, or simply for educational purposes, this is a sign. I mean, this is my experience. You may have very different symptoms or signs prior and also post herniated disc. And so I started to have these pains, and they were more painful as the accident was going to happen. So it was more and more painful. I was genuinely complaining every day, thinking that there was something wrong with me. I was doing my exercises that my physiotherapist had given me. It didn't work. It wasn't working. And then the day it happened, I was basically going to the pool, because I have a pool. And I was, about to have a good day. It was in September. It was a hot day for September. And I was just like, I'm going to, be joyful as much as I can until the bad weather comes. But well, no, it didn't happen, because I sneezed twice, and it took a sneeze to get me out. Do you understand what I'm saying? 2 sneezes. The first sneeze hurt, but I was like, oh, okay. Second sneeze took me out. And what I felt was like the most excruciating pain I have ever felt in my life. So I felt my pelvis like moving forward, like automatically, like I couldn't control my body. My legs gave out, and I had to genuinely touch the first thing I saw, because I was falling. I started screaming, which I never do. If you know me, I never scream. Like, I'm in pain, I will not scream. I will just look at where I'm in pain, and I'll just be like, oh, okay. But no, it was so bad that I started screaming, and my parents came to see what was going on. Then figured out I couldn't sit, I couldn't lie down, I couldn't even stand up, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even walk. That's how painful it was. I think it really much depends on where you get your herniated disc. For me, it was L5. So I think it's pretty much like at the middle of the spine. So the entirety of my lower back and my legs were completely paralyzed, due to the fact that the muscles were so strained and inflamed that it hurt so bad. Okay, I had to walk with a cane to go to the bathroom. I was 21 years old, so close to my 22nd birthday, and I was walking with a cane. It was so bad. I was very grateful that I had my cat with me through this 1.5 months of simply not being able to walk. 1.5 months of genuinely having to walk with a cane. I couldn't walk without it. I would lose my balance, it would hurt so much, and obviously there were side effects to me having a herniated disc. So I would say the side effects that I had was the pain in the legs, because you also get pains in the legs, obviously, because everything is related in the body. So it would be the outer side of my thighs for me, and it would hurt like a straight line. Every time I would step on it, it would hurt, and that would make me really scared of doing anything, absolutely anything, any type of sport, any type of fitness. Just doing yoga for me was a no-go, because I was scared of doing worse. What was the thing that I didn't know, and obviously my physiotherapist told me, but I was too much in my own head to be able to figure it out that she was right, was that actually these work. Swimming. I mean, fitness maybe not in the beginning because you're still recovering. So she said yoga, she said Pilates, she said swimming is really important. And actually, a surgeon told me this as well. He was like, you need to swim, which I didn't really do because I don't like swimming. I don't like swimming. But yeah, they were basically telling me you need to move. But I was so much in my own head that I didn't do anything for months because I was scared. And so I was feeling like a needle in my spine, and then I was feeling my legs and it were hurting, and I was not doing anything about it because I was telling people I'm scared. I'm scared that if I do something, it will be worse. And obviously, I knew that, you know, there would be professional people helping me, but at the same time, I was like, what if, you know, these people do not have a control over my body. They can only guide me, but they can't, you know, control my body and be like, okay, well, make sure that this will not be worse. They can't, you know. I can do like a false movement and bam, I'm back on, you know, square one, and I didn't want that to happen. So I think that delayed my recovery of like at least a good year because I wouldn't do anything. And obviously, if you're having a herniated disc, you will not have the same type of, you know, recovery as me because I took a long time to actually get help. But when I did, I went to do Pilates, and in the beginning it was difficult because I was out of shape. It hurt. And depending on the type of, you know, experiences that you had and if you were doing fitness or not before, obviously these things could be very much different than me. But for me, it was difficult because I had no, you know, strength in my body. But then after a few months of Pilates, it actually really helped me. And this is how I was able to get into fitness and be able to strengthen the muscles of my spine, because this is what they're telling you to do. They tell you to strengthen the muscles of your spine to prevent you from having a herniated disc again, and for it to just hurt, because it hurts, you know, like that's one of the signs that actually something is wrong about it. I generally felt like this was never going to go away. Even though I was 21, I'm a very young person, and you know, my body at this age can recover really quickly compared to someone who's 30 or 40 years old. I still feel like I genuinely could not recover from this because it was something so traumatizing. And yes, a lot of things about having an injury can be very psychological too, and not just simply physical. Like the moment it happens, but then you start to overthink everything that you do with your body because of this one accident. It's just really insane, and I hope that nobody else would be able to get this because it's really re-traumatizing, especially for a 21-year-old. I was barely an adult, and then bam, traumatizing experience. What I think also really discouraged me is that the medical side of it was very they were not very nice with me because I was 21 years old, and they were basically telling me this is not a herniated disc, you're too young to have a herniated disc, it would be rare for you to have this. So they basically told me from the beginning, surgeons, doctors included, they told me this is not it. We're not going to do an MRI on you, even though you're hurt, even though I generally see that you're in pain, because we don't think this is a herniated disc. It took my mom to pressure them, and for one surgeon to be like, okay, we're going to do an MRI, for them to see that it was in fact a herniated disc. What do you know? So yeah, that was definitely something that was a bad experience because even though I was taken charge quite quickly, at the same time people were discouraging me from doing any other type of recovery because at the same time they were basically telling me different things than my actual diagnosis. And it's so sad that us young people are genuinely not taken seriously. Just because it could be rare does not mean you have to rule it out, because I am an example. I got a herniated disc. I'm 21 years old. I am pretty much sure that I'm not the only one. And yes, it might be rare, but it does not mean it does not exist. Okay, so yeah, I was actually pretty mad about it. I was just like, I know what I feel. I know what I feel. I think, and when when your body tells you this is it. Like someone tells you a diagnosis and you're like, this is it. Like this is how I feel. I know this is a diagnosis. And you feel it like it's an intuition telling you that this is it. And then you have a surgeon telling you no. But they don't even tell you, okay, do the test and then we'll see. Let me do the test and then we'll see. I know it costs a lot to use an MRI machine. I'm very much aware of it. But this is how I knew that I had a herniated disc. If nobody would have, nobody would have accepted it, I would know to this day what I had, and I would not be able to recover, and I would have never done Pilates, yoga, fitness, and I would have never been able to live. Because a herniated disc is something that genuinely impacts your life in a way that it generally strips a little bit of your life for a period of time. But for the moment it happens and the months after it, you genuinely do not feel like yourself anymore because you're not walking the same way. I could not walk long distances anymore, and still now I still feel like this is not something that I could do anymore, even though I used to walk an hour a day every day. I would not take the bus to school. I would not take any type of public transportation. I would walk. And I couldn't do this anymore. So yeah, this is my experience with the herniated disc. Maybe you have another experience about it. Please, if you do, you can comment it. You can do your own video about it if for educational purposes, or simply for story time, because it was also a story time if you're just here for shit and giggles, right? So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful if you're going through the same thing as me, or if you feel like this is going to happen, because as I said, you have signs before that tells you that something is wrong. So it doesn't just come like this. I mean, for me, it didn't just came out of nowhere. There were signs. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and you are always welcome to give me suggestions of stuff that I could potentially talk about. And you can subscribe to my Instagram, my TikTok, and also my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.